Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the three-part series, me drawing swords from the Gilded SMP. And we are going to be starting with the Sword of Ite. And let's just get right onto it, and I'll talk about why I'm doing this and kind of what the whole situation is. So, let's get started. Right now, we are going to be drawing just the sword by itself, and if you see a blurry sword on the side, that's because I drew this sword second, and then I realized, oh, I'm actually drawing the posters for this sword first, and I drew all the swords together on one big canvas, like a fool. So, that sword is actually, if nothing goes catastrophically wrong, is going to be next episode's sword, so that's why it's blurry. But what am I doing? I do Minecraft videos and now I'm doing art. Well, there's kind of a story that I will shorten up, which is that I drew every single day and posted every single day on my now dead Instagram for 3 years. And wouldn't you know, that causes burnout. And then I stopped drawing for 2 years because I was like, thinking of drawing makes me want to take off my arms. So I stopped drawing for 2 years, and then I got on the Gilded server and I drew a really bad sword for an episode in like 15 minutes, and I hated it so much. So this is also kind of like a redemption for that, to be like, hey, I can actually draw, and I can actually draw swords really good because I like drawing swords. Because during that 3 years of drawing every day, I participated in a thing called Sword Timber, where you draw a sword every day in the month of September. So I did that for like 2 years. So I like drawing swords. I think I'm decently good at drawing swords, so I'm like, if I want to kind of get back into the groove of drawing, why don't I draw 3 swords from a server that has been maybe the most creatively rewarding, fun thing I've done in the last few years. That's also collaborative and has like a bunch of amazing people and creators, and it's just so great. And also, they will all be linked below because this is about the Gilded SMP, and all the people in the Gilded SMP deserve so much love, so they will all be linked in the description below. Go check them out. And if you want a specific person to check out, you should check out Nomad, who's our admin, who in the game modeled all of these swords, because these swords exist on our server. Or if you want to see these swords in the game a lot, check out Blockade, or Crypt. They're all great, but this video is about like those 3. I guess not specifically Nomad, but he did make all the amazing models, and he's our admin, and he's amazing. So go check everyone out. But I think that's all the like housekeeping I have to talk about. I'm doing this to get over my burnout. TLDR. That's the TLDR. And the goal is to kind of be to learn how to be nice to myself as I start doing art that I like to do again, because during those 3 years of posting and drawing every day, there were of course things I drew that I liked, that I loved even. But there were a bunch of things that I just drew so I would have something to post that day, which was not healthy, as you can imagine. And I will talk more, but that's this sword done, and I will put like a high-res PNG up right now of the Sword of Ite, which I think turned out really well. And I love the colors. I think I do edit it slightly, but not too much. And now that the sword is done, even though I didn't really talk about it that much because, I don't know, it's just a sword. I drew sword. I kind of like understand how swords are supposed to be drawn somewhat because I've done it so much. So it's a sword, and let's move on to the poster, which all of these swords have a poster. All of these episodes will have a poster. And this is where there's a spoiler there that I have to edit out because it shows all 3 swords, okay? Remember that, Benji. But this is the poster for the Sword of Ite. The idea for this poster is kind of like a war zone where the sword is just stuck into the ground. And I draw some things to make it look more like it is what it is, you know? Right now I'm working on a flagpole, which is what I spend the most time, I think, on this. But I think, once again, I've gone over all the housekeeping. I know I said that earlier, but we're learning how to enjoy doing art again is the basic of it. And I think I succeeded because I really love how all of these turned out. They were really fun to do. I really like making posters and like designing things, especially if I have such an amazing reference like a sword in a game I play literally like every day when the server was up. Or not every day, but you know, a lot. So we're still working on the flagpole, and this poster is gonna be kind of like a moody war poster. Not like super moody, and not really like, if you Google war posters, there's a lot of like propaganda posters. That's not really the idea of this poster. It's just supposed to be kind of like a fun, simple kind of landscape poster with the main focus staying on the sword, which is kind of the idea, for most of these posters, is that the poster will be fun and cool, and the focus will stay on the swords. And also, fun fact, as I mess with this flag, originally, if you saw at the beginning of this poster time-lapse, there was a hand, and that's because, as you can see by the name of this file as well, originally I was going to make playing cards, and then I realized I don't really know how to draw people in the style that playing cards are drawn in, if you know what I mean. So that was scrapped after like an hour of working on it. But I think I like where we ended up. I think eventually I'll be done working on this flag. But what I do when I draw is, one, I zoom in so much, which is a thing I didn't realize I did until I was editing these time lapses. I was like, why am I zoomed in like to the pixel? But that's fine, because it gives you a little surprise at the end when I don't zoom in all the way and I have to show you guys in post. But we're working on these flags. There's gonna be like 6 of them, and this one takes the longest because I'm like, how do I draw a flag that's like flowy and also kind of tattered? And then we delete a lot of things. The thing I do also that I didn't realize is that I would just, I kind of knew this, but like seeing it actually happen is like, oh, I do that a lot, huh? Which is a thing I think a lot of artists do, which is draw a thing, delete a thing, draw a thing, delete a thing, draw a thing. Actually, the first thing I drew was what I wanted, so reverse, 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 hope that the program you're using saved all the way back there, and just go with the first thing you drew. I say that, but that's not what happens with this block of diorite that I'm coloring in right now. I realized I wanted something on these flags to make them look like war flags, to have like a symbol of a country or a group or a cult. Which is what this sword is for, is a cult on the server. It's hard to explain. Don't think I can explain within the time of this video, but we are now working on the second flag, which I cheat a little bit because I just grab the flagpole that I had on another layer. Because why would I draw a whole other flagpole when I have one? A perfectly good... words. A perfectly good one on the other side of the screen. And then we just draw a different flag that I get in like one. Crazy. And then I draw a symbol, another symbol for Sunvale, which is my city on the server. Because I'm like, I need another symbol. What's an easy one? A sun. Sunvale. Okay. So I draw this very simple sun, and I'm like, I can do that for the block of diorite because I didn't really love how it looked. So we just do a very simple block. I still try to do details, like maybe, and then I decide not to, and I just make a cube. Because I'm like, even if it doesn't read as diorite, it'll read as a Minecraft block, which is all I really need. And now we're about to do a bunch of background work. Also, don't look at my layers. I know I said it, so you're all gonna be looking at my layers right now, but right now, these layers are like the best organization my layers will ever have. Because they're all always either unnamed or named something that's just a letter, and I go back months later and I'm like, what was I doing? What was I doing? Which is, I think, another thing that a lot of artists do. One thing that I don't do is use 10 million layers, which I know a lot of people do, because I would just not be able to find anything ever. But I go in, I edit the tops of these because even though I'm copying them, I want them to be a little bit different, to be like other kingdoms, quote unquote, or other, you know, organizations fighting in this area. So we do that. And then I zoom out, and then I forget to record me doing any, like, detailing work. Which I do a lot. I edit the sky, I edit the sword. Hopefully, an image of the final piece is slowly zooming in right now. But we do a bunch of stuff that I just forgot to record. Or I pressed the record button twice on accident, and I recorded, like, 1 second of it happening, and then it just being over. So, that's that. And you might be thinking, there's, like, 12 more minutes of this video, and that's because I did another poster. Surprise! Even though I'm trying to be nice to myself, I am still extremely critical of the things I do and draw. So, a couple months I drew that poster, like months ago, and I was like, each time I come back to it, I don't really love it. It just doesn't feel like it's anything special, or like, it just doesn't feel like anything. It feels like a poster I drew, and that's it. Which is fine, but I realized what I wanted was for all of these swords to have a different style of poster. So what I settled on for the Sword of Ite was to kind of go for more of a brutalism styled poster. And if I remember, I will put a screenshot of my Pinterest board that I had for this. And let's just get started, and I'll talk about it as we go. But I realized I want these to be stylized, and I'm like, what style works for the Sword of Ite that is kind of like culty and kind of like religious feeling, and also kind of like it makes you go crazy? And I'm like, Renaissance? And I'm like, I'm not drawing a Renaissance painting for this sword. Absolutely not. That's so many hands and people, and no. So then I go, the sword is kind of blocky, obviously, in Minecraft, but it's like more square, and the whole thing is based on diorite, which is a block. So I decided to go brutalistic, which when you look up brutalism, it's a lot of architecture. But there's actually a style poster that's like, I'm not sure if the style is actually called brutalism poster, but that's what I've been calling it. Once again, if I remember, I will put up the Pinterest like screenshot of what I'm referencing as I make this poster. Because it's a style I've literally never done before. I didn't really know it was a style before I started looking up like styles to do this poster in. So that's what we're doing. And what I found out while like researching, quote unquote, researching sounds weird because it's not like scientific or anything, but I was always looking stuff up. A lot of the posters have a lot of sharp text, have a lot of contrasty colors, which is why we're working in black and white, and eventually we add some really bright colors just as like some detailing that's not really, it's like really easy at the end, so. And it has a lot of them have like sectioned off areas where different like art pieces are done, or like images of like a very detailed landscape, and I'm like, I can't do that, but I can do sectioned off areas that are like of different art things, and that's what I'm doing right now. And speaking of what I'm doing right now, we are drawing the, I don't know, actually, I call it the pit. It's a huge pit that Block dug out on one of their episodes. And it's a pit with walls of tough, I think it goes all the way down to bedrock. And then above it, floating, is a 5x5x5 block of diorite. So that's what we're trying to recreate here. And I'm like, I don't know how to draw this in this angle I've chosen where I'm front on with this block of diorite. So we go through a bunch of iterations. I end up really liking the half toning, which is all those little circles. I think it's also called hatching. I am not really sure. And then we end up settling with this, which is just like kind of has the illusion of like an endless pit, which is the closest I could get. And then I just ignored the towers because like the actual build has towers with fire on it, and I was like, I don't know how to add that into this. But we eventually settled on that, as you can see in the like bottomish corner. And now we are working on a landscape because that really long box I felt was like perfect for it. And specifically, I was like, okay, I built something for Block. The other person in this organization is Crypt and Bella. Bella has a sword. Also, I'm saving. Remember to save your art. But Bella has a sword, so I'm like, maybe we should do a Crypt build. And I'm like, I remember as I was drawing this, I went on the server and took a screenshot of the Temple of Ite that he built, and I was like, I simply can't draw this. This is like something, if I draw this, this has to be like the main focus of the image. It can't be like a little small thing in the background that's not a center point because it's so big and grand and crazy. So instead, I'm like, Crypt's starter base is something that is like, I remember how it looks like and I could do it, or it's like the edge of his starter base, which is like a wheat field and a little pumpkin scarecrow guy that I think has a name tag that says like Weeds and Clairvore or something. So that's what I'm drawing. We end up not using this guy because I just could not figure out how to draw a scarecrow in a style that looked good for this type of poster. I drew a hat on this one because I was like, maybe that'll make it better. It didn't. But this is, I think, my second try of drawing a scarecrow. And I'm like, it just doesn't. It just does not work. So we scrap it. And I think we end up just using wheat with a brush I have on Clip Studio Paint that is called wheat or whatever. So I was like, that's perfect. And then where do I delete it? It'll disappear eventually. We add more half toning. And then I think, oh, we're doing colors now. That's what we're doing. These are the colors I picked because they're Block and Crip's favorite colors. It's their sword. So I'm like, this needs to go somewhere. I end up just doing halftone in the corners that I do now, and then I redo at the end to make it look a lot nicer. I zoom in so much to get that correctly. I'm sure there's a faster way to do a bunch of things I'm doing in Clip Studio Paint and definitely in Photoshop, but I don't like using Adobe products. So that's that. And also, I think my laptop would explode if I tried to use Photoshop and also tried to record at the same time. My laptop would just disappear into a puff of smoke. What are we doing now? We're doing some detailing. I don't know why I said that, like, I'm watching this for the first time, but I've watched this so many times. We're doing some, like, it's not called halftoning, but like an opacity layer to give it a bit more dimension. I also think I eventually, there's some point where I flip some images because I'm like, the situation, like the orientation of things feels wrong. But I think that might have happened. It's like for 1 second. I'm adding text because, also, so sorry if I'm all over the place this episode. I've never recorded a voiceover for this kind of time lapse before, so new thing, and we will learn as we go. But as I said, these posters have like a lot of text on them, so I'm like, okay, I'll do some text in Galactic, and then I typed it in wrong, so I'm fixing it right now. And then I actually really like how this turned out. We add more text in the bottom corner box. I think. Oh, and this. I can't I forgot I did this. This is a stamp that I'm making that is just not used. So let me explain my thought process for this. Is that I was like, in what world would this poster exist? And I was like, maybe it's in like a library of like a history of the war that happened, and I'm like, maybe it's in maybe my city has it because I'm the one drawing it. So I'm like, let's make a stamp for my city library that I have now. So I end up just taking my line art from my PNG tuber, which is right now in the top corner. And we end up relining it and then making a little fun stamp that I think turned out really cute and that I don't end up using. Because this poster is so busy, and if I planned beforehand, we probably could have figured out a spot for this guy, but I futz with it a bunch. I'm like, maybe if it's yellow or like white, and then maybe if it's yellow and then the lines and the words are black, and then the inner circle is a darker yellow. And then I move it around a bunch, and then I'm like, there's absolutely no way for me to put this on this poster. So it leaves forever. Maybe we'll do something with that eventually, because I do think that the design is cute, but it was a weird fit for this poster. It was very bright yellow, for one. And just didn't fit. We're adding more text, join the Ite, and then the posters I was referencing had a lot of barcodes or QR codes, and I was like, we have a space for that. That's like perfect. So I try to think of a way that I could cheat it, and then I just draw it by hand with rulers to make it so they're just straight up and down. And then we have a barcode, which I think actually makes sense. Like in the world, maybe if this poster was real, it would be hung up everywhere and someone could just like scan a barcode and like be sent to a place, or you know, something. And now, oh, I thought we were at the end, and we are kind of. We're redoing the colors because I'm like, I want them to be more prominent in this poster, and then we erase it to make it look a bit more clean. And I really like how it turned out. I think purple and green kind of work really good together, actually. And obviously, with the black and white of the main poster, it looks pretty cool. And now, we're about to scroll through so many textures. I wanted a paper texture that was like a printer just about to run out of ink. So, and also to make it look a bit older. Like, it's not a poster that was printed today, but a poster that was printed maybe a few years ago. So we're trying to find a texture that works from all the textures I have of my just collection that I've made on Clip Studio Paint. We settled on this one, and I'm just futzing with it. This is the one I stick with, and it looks like a printer printed it out, kind of janky, and I really like how it turned out. And then, hey, that's it. That's the poster and the sword for words are hard. That's the poster for the Sword of Ite, and that is episode 1 of 3. The next episode will be next Saturday, and I hope you guys enjoy this fun little mini-series. It's very weird sharing art in a way that isn't just a post of the final piece, but a bringing you guys along the process with me. It's been so fun. Check out the other Gilded SMP members. Subscribe, maybe? Feels weird saying that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye!